Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to session 2, College Bound program. We're very excited to connect again on our second session, Majors, Minors, and Concentrations and Career Preparation. We are going to be talking about what students are going to study when they get there, how to choose a major, and like how we can connect those dots to their career. So I'm very excited again to meet with you again today. So before we begin, as always, I like to find out who is in our session and where you are coming from. So if you would, there should be a poll that just popped up for you. We just want to know where you're coming from and have a couple of questions for you to begin this session. We just want to know where you're from and then a couple of poll questions to allow us to understand exactly what your needs are, what your wants are throughout this presentation. So I'll give you just a few moments to go ahead and finish that, where you from, and the questions for the poll, for the student poll. So I'm excited. I see them starting to come in. All right, North Carolina, Georgia, California. All right, Illinois. All right, they're coming in. Maryland. All right, I saw Maryland from last session. Okay. Texas in the house. South Carolina. As of right now, it looks like the sophomores are leading. We got a couple of folks coming in and filling those out, but the sophomores are still in the lead. Let's see. You are talking about how familiar are you with different programs of study and career paths? That's one of our questions, right? Go ahead and fill that out. Another one of the questions is how confident are you in your ability to choose a program of study and career path? All right. How confident are you in your ability to do that? That's what we're going to be talking about today. You already have a specific career or program of study in mind. Overwhelmingly, you actually have an idea. There's only a few of you that don't know exactly what you want to do. That's fine. We'll discuss that today. All right. What do you hope to learn? Differences between majors, minors, or concentrations. That's a big one. Okay. All right. And what challenges or concerns do you face in selecting a program of study? The biggest one right now, feeling unsure about job opportunities in different fields. So we'll be discussing that. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll give you just a few more seconds. I'll give you just a few more seconds. A lot of Georgia, a lot of Georgia. All right. I'm here in Atlanta, so that makes sense. All right. And sophomores, we have more sophomores than everybody else. All right. So that's the group we're going to be talking to the most today. All right. All right. If you see any of them coming in, you can go ahead and do that. But it looks like our results are in for our poll today. Thank you so much for being a part of that. I really appreciate it. All right. Our results are in. We'll share those results. Okay. All right. Our polls are in. We'll go ahead and begin. We'll go ahead and begin our session for today. So very excited to have everybody here. We'll go ahead and begin our sessions on majors, minors, and concentrations, and we'll make that connection to the career. All right. We'll go ahead and begin. All right, so just about me again, Brandon Jones, Executive Director of Next Step Education Foundation here in Atlanta. educational consultant and author of the College Readiness One-on-One Workbook Series. It's being used around the country to be able to assist students and parents on how to transition from high school into college. You can find more information on me on YouTube, content creator, a podcaster, and I started my career in admissions and recruitment and student retention and student affairs. And so that's a little bit about me. All right. But as always, when you're coming to a session where I am hosting, we want to make sure that you are grabbing a sheet of paper and a pen, or you are putting together a notes app on your phone. We want to make sure that you can start to get these nuggets, get these gems, and start applying it to your journey. And so every conversation, every presentation I have, it's all about having meaningful conversations at home, because you'll be with me for a session, or students will be with me for a day, for an event, or a college fair, but then they got to go home, right? And they have to make sure that they are having those conversations so that they can apply it to their journey and they could be more successful in their process. So make sure you're grabbing those things. All right. Now, what's going to be in this presentation? So I have a few helpers today. You might have saw them in our last session, but what's going to be here today is the purpose of the major or program of study. We want to make sure you can identify that, right? We want to connect a program to a career option and the outcome for that career option. And then we're going to understand how to make a business decision about your future. And so to help me along with this presentation, we have our three students who are going to be the voice of the students around the country who are watching. I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Gavin, I see you first, so you can go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey, my name is Gavin Pittman. I am a 12th grader at Utopian Academy for the Arts High School.
All right, all right. Who do I see next? Jamar, I see you next.
Well, hey, how y'all doing? My name is Jamar Crawford. I am a 12th grader, also at Utopian Academy for the Arts.
All right, Utopian in the house. We have one more. Harry, you can introduce yourself as well.
The best for last. My name is Harry Payne. I'm a senior at Utopian for Academy Arts High School.
All right, all right. So Utopian is in the house. I'm so excited to see you guys again. Thank you for being a part of today. And so just a couple of housekeeping. If you are watching, I want to make sure that if you have questions or anything like that, please check the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. That's where we're going to be answering your questions. So make sure that that's where you're going if you have questions throughout the presentation. So let's go ahead and begin. So we really want to make sure that students have a foundational understanding of what a major, a minor, and a concentration is, right? So you're going to be going to school and you're going to have to study something, right? And so what you have is three common options for what you want to study, right? So there is a major, right? And that is the primary program of study that you are going to study when you get to college, right? And so a common example of that is criminal justice. You want to go to school and you're going to study criminal justice as your major, right? And for a lot of students, that's going to be it. That's all they're going to do. But for some students, they're going to have the opportunity to have a minor, is a secondary program of study, right? That is unrelated to their field, right? So some individuals who want to be criminal justice majors may also want to minor in psychology. And so your degree would say a criminal justice with a minor in psychology is unrelated to criminal justice. It's a totally different field, but it is additional classes that you have taken to get that designation for it to be a minor, right? And then there is a concentration, right? So a concentration is a secondary field of study, but it's related to the field that you are studying. So somebody may want to major in criminal justice, but they could concentrate in juvenile justice, right? It's related to the field. It's in the same program. It's in the same college. And so that is the difference between a major, a minor, and a concentration. So when you are looking at your school and you are looking at your academic options, find out if you may be interested in taking a few more classes to minor in a secondary program of study or concentrate and a secondary program of study. So I just want to make sure everybody had a foundational understanding of a major, minor, and a concentration. All right, we'll continue on. All right, so let's talk about what your options are in selecting your program. All right, so Gavin, I know you want to be a film program student, and when you go to the college that you're interested in, you are going to choose to have film as like a major or a related field of your program study, right? So you're going to choose that, right?
Right.
And then you're going to take classes associated with that, right?
Right.
Right, all right. But you may have a classmate who does not know what they want to study. And we would call that an undecided student, right?
Right.
And so there are pros and cons to choosing your major, and there are pros and cons to not choosing your major, right? And so the big one for you, Gavin, the fact that you already know what you want to do, is that you're not entering undecided. And so the major con of not selecting your program of study or being undecided is that if you wait too long, you may be taking classes that are not needed in the degree field that you are interested in, right? So let me give you an example of that. Let's say somebody was interested, they were undecided, and they were taking business classes because, that was a general program that they could take. But you know what? I think I'm going to really change my major. I'm going to choose nursing, right? So a lot of the classes that you might have taken as in the business portion of it, they may not be needed in the nursing. So you might have taken classes that you don't need, which means you wasted your time and you wasted your money. And so we want to make sure that for as much as possible, and it's okay to go undecided, but you don't want to be an undecided student on a college campus for too long. Okay. So Gavin, you said film, is that correct?
Right. Film and television, AV tech.
Got you. Harry, what was your major again?
I have multiple majors depending on which college I decide to attend. So mechanical engineering, film and media production, computer science, game design, and graphics design.
So you had a couple of options that you're interested in. All right. And so we'll hone that in as you continue the rest of your high school career, the just last semester that you have. We'll make sure that you hone that in to find out exactly what it is, because that's going to be a decision-making factor of what college you go to and what you're going to study. All right. Jamar, what was your intended major again?
Well, I'm representing for the theater and performance study majors.
Okay. All right. Theater and performance studies. So tell me a little bit about what that would mean when you get to your college campus. What is a study for theatrics?
So I definitely, from the research that I did, I know that for theater, it's a bit more, it's basically an extension of what you may, learn in a drama class in high school, but it's more on an advanced level, of course, because it's college. And typically you have things like a conservatory, where a conservatory college is strictly performing arts, which is one of the colleges that I'll be looking into. So all of your classes will be fully based on whatever career field in the entertainment industry you're going into, whether that be dance, whether that be musical theater, film and TV, or anything of that sort. So the things that you will get out of college will be a more advanced class in vocal technique, a more advanced class in scene study and character development, vocal projection, theater work, film and TV as well.
Got you. All right. So for those individuals who are watching who understands that they may also want to go into film or theatrics, here are a couple of them. So the school that they go to, Utopian, is an art school, right? And so it's Utopian Academy for the Arts. And so that is really good for you to be able to continue that in your collegiate studies. All right, we'll continue on. All right, here's a major conversation that we're going to have, y'all. So I wanted to present to everybody the general job sectors that are available for individuals to choose from, right? So it might be different career fields within these sectors. It might be a different job title within these career sectors, but the career sector themselves are here, right? And so some of the common ones would be accounting, banking, and finance. For the three students we have here is creative art and design. Individuals may be interested in healthcare, so that's everything in the healthcare field. One of the big ones right now is hospitality, sports, and tourism. So I have a couple of students who are interested in working for some professional teams. So that's really good. Information technology is a big one for a lot of people. So, there's a couple of options that they were interested in. So if you were not going to be a film or theater or an actor, what kind of service sector do you think you could fall into? I'll go with Gavin first since you're at the top. If you weren't going to be in the arts, where do
Right.
you see yourself going?
I would say more hospitality.
Okay.
Most of my jobs that I have done were in that hospitality range. And then even the job that I do now is, even though it's security, I do more of the hospitality side because I'm the first person you see when you first come in the gate. So I have to know how to, talk to guests and stuff.
Right. I got you. Harry, what about you? You're next on the list. If you weren't, well, you actually have a couple of options. So
Yes,
what
sir.
sectors do you see yourself in?
Engineering and
Okay.
science, depending.
Okay. All right. So the STEM route. Okay. Makes
Mhm.
total sense. Makes total sense. All right, Jamar, if you weren't going to be in theatrics, you weren't going to be in film, and what would you be? What would you be?
I think a lot of people don't know that I be whipping it up in the kitchen. So
Okay.
I know. So I'm a beast in the kitchen. So I would definitely be looking into culinary arts for sure.
Culinary art. All
For
right.
sure.
I definitely understand that. Understanding that. So if you have a question, if you are watching and you have a question about some of the sectors, some of the job sectors there, make sure you ask your question in the Q&A section. We want to make sure that we can answer that. So I'll just ask right now, are there any questions in the Q&A chat right now? Because if there's not, we'll go ahead and continue. But if there are, I want to go ahead and pause right now to have a discussion about the job sectors.
Yes, we have just one question right now from Ryan. They asked, can you do all three? I'm assuming that the question means, can you have a major, minor, and a concentration?
The answer, it would be up to the college. I would say generally the answer would be no. I can't say that you can't do it, but in generally you wouldn't, because that would just be more time. You can take as many classes as you want. You just got to pay for them, right? Find a way to pay for them. But generally it would be, one or the other route. So once you choose your major, you generally are going to have a minor, or you're generally going to have a concentration. Most students don't have that option unless their college offers like a lot of different opportunities within their program. So it would be up to the college. So I would tell Orion that you would want to make sure that you speak with the academic advisors or the admissions representatives at the colleges that you're interested in, and just find out what options they have. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes,
All right.
that's the question. And we have one other
Okay.
that says, if Layla, she asks, if you wanted to be a wildlife biologist, what job sector should I pick?
So wildlife would probably fall. Oh, I lost it. Wildlife would probably fall under. It would be the sciences. So the zoologies, the marine biologies, the biologies. That sector would generally fall under probably the science. May also fall under law enforcement, depending on what part of it that you would do. And then you have the environmental and agriculture. That's probably where it'd be more related to. So a lot of individuals who can go into wildlife sciences will also may have like a law enforcement component to it. So you might be with the Department of Forestry or something like that, right? That has a law enforcement component. So more aligned with environmental and agriculture, possibly a law enforcement component. So that's where it would probably go. Yep. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. We'll continue on. Oh, we have another question?
Nope, we're good for now. Thank you, Mr. Brandon.
All right. We'll continue on. Excuse me. So once we can find out the sectors that you can choose from, we want to make sure that you can build that plan. So this is where you want to go ahead and take a note, or put in a notes in your phone. So the steps that you want to kind of consider when selecting a career is, what programs of study lead to my desired career option? So let's use the example that was given in wildlife sciences, right? Do I have to go to college to get to that career? Yes or no, right? And if I do have to go to college, does it have to be a 4-year university? Can it be a community college? Can it be a technical college? This is going to help you navigate that process. Is where do I have to go to be able to get to where I want to be, right? So you want to do that. Number 2, what is the projected job opportunities when I graduate? This is a very important component in your decision-making process because we want to know, is my job here where I'm at? Do I have to leave my state or leave my area? Is it a high demand career in my field? Let me give you an example. So I live here in Atlanta. We don't necessarily need ice road truckers, right? Because I live in the southeast of the country. Although we have some snow now, we don't necessarily get it all the time, right? If you were in Oklahoma, you may not need deep sea drillers, right? Because that's just not a high demand career in your area, right? So you will want to make sure that in your state, you are researching your Department of Labor's website, finding out what's high demand in your area, right? Number 3, what is the income projection? What is the median salary for this career, right? How much am I possibly going to make? And this would help you understand um, what your household finances could look like, right? So a single person who is a teacher versus a single person who is a forensic scientist versus a single person who is a civil engineer versus a single person who is, I don't know, an astrologist or a theater major. Like these things is something is what you need to really consider when making that decision, right? So those are the 3 steps that you want to make sure that you are putting in place when you are thinking about your potential career. And one more thing about that is we now should be more savvy than just falling into a career, right? We need to be thinking about high demand careers and choosing from opportunities in high demand careers, right? Careers that you might not have thought of. And so I'm going to tell you what I tell students that I coach. I'm not going to tell you to follow your heart, right? I'm going to tell you to find an option that you might be interested in and make a sound business decision on what you may want to do. Now, if you have the opportunity to follow your heart, if you have the opportunity that what you're interested in, you can make the income from, perfect. But I definitely want to make sure that we are not just following our heart, and there is some kind of decision making that we're doing on the business side of that. Okay, cool. We'll continue on. All right. So, Harry, there is a true correlation between your college program selection and your career outcomes. So, do you happen to know, for the types of careers that you're interested in, do you happen to know like who may make more money off of the career options that you're considering?
Well, I don't exactly know who make the most money. I have a general idea, and I think it
Yeah.
would be technically film and media, as movies are very expensive, and I can go as either an editor or a cameraman.
Yep.
So a very good movie could get me a lot higher than mechanical engineer. So
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a good point. So I used to recruit students to go into media programs for music production or film production. That was actually one of my jobs as an admissions representative. And what I found out was all of the jobs that was in film. I did not know that
Mhm.
one of the jobs that blew my mind was a Foley engineer, right? Is when you look at a movie and you see somebody walking on the street, or you see a umbrella being opened, or you even see an action movie, machine guns in a military movie, a lot of times you're not hearing exactly what you're seeing. It's somebody on the back who's going in and making these sounds in a studio, right? And I thought that was an amazing job And so, and they make a lot of money, right? And so this was something that was really creative, but it's scientific and it's artistic because you have to follow it and make the sound exactly when the person is making that jump in the water or whatever they're doing, right? And I thought that was a phenomenal job. And I think that that's something that you might have never considered before, didn't even know existed, right? And so that's kind of the research that we really want students to be able to do is what are all of the career options inside of that career, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, let's continue on. All right, so I'll ask you, Jamar, since I see you next. I know that you are interested in film and theatrics, but you kind of broke down a little bit about your career choices, but as a, well, major choices, but as a career, kind of what type of options do you have for what kind of job you may have? So what does your major or potential major, what kind of jobs does that lead to?
Well, it actually leads to a whole bunch of unpredictable jobs, actually. And I
Okay.
think that, yes, a lot of people don't know that because even though that I'm studying to be an actor and I'm studying to be in the entertainment industry, well, in general, I'm studying to be a director, an actor, a producer, but those jobs are not guaranteed because a lot of people don't know that once you leave college, there's a whole different process that you have to go through with auditioning and just
Yep.
auditioning alone. You're not guaranteed to get a job, or you're not guaranteed to be brought onto a project to be a producer, or guaranteed to be brought onto a project to be a director. So it kind of varies, but when you have a community of people that that's true. Now it's not what you know, it's about who you know, because
That
that
is
can
absolutely true.
yeah, that can be a lot. It plays a major part in the type of jobs that you are a part of and the type of projects and stuff that you're also a part of. So it kind of varies. It varies.
That's absolutely true. I think it's not unique to the arts, but I think it's like very specific to the arts sometimes as well. It's just
Yes.
like you said, you can do everything right, but you still have to go to those auditions, right? In the arts, you still have to go and play your instrument,
Yes.
to audition for this, or go and take an audition to act. So I think that's really important. I'll pause right here and I'll ask, were there any other questions in the chat? Because if we can pause, we might as well go ahead and pause now.
Yes. So Andrew asks, if I wanted to become a pilot, should I enroll in a college program or flight school?
So the interesting thing about, aviation is you don't necessarily have to have a degree in aviation, right? You have to have the skill set, right? I want a pilot who knows how to fly a plane, right? Now, I don't care if you went and got your bachelor's degree. I need to make sure you can get me from point A to point B. And so I don't know exactly where you're located, but you may be able to go to a technical school here in Atlanta. We have Atlanta Technical College. They have an aviation program that you can take here. You may also want to go to one of the flight schools as well. And then the other option is kind of like the military, right? So being in the Air Force and becoming a pilot, those individuals retire and become, well-respected flight pilots in other agencies like Delta or Southwest or wherever, right? And so you don't necessarily have to have a traditional bachelor's degree to be a pilot, but you have to have that skill set, right? Because that's the most important thing, right? Were there any other questions?
Yes, there are a few just rolling in really quickly.
Okay.
Milena asks, I'm currently interested in health science because it gives me a wide variety of options career-wise. But when I'm looking through the major directory for my list of universities, I do not see it listed as a major. Is it typically labeled as something as a different title?
Right. So what will happen, and specifically about health sciences, you'll see at colleges you'll have like a college of nursing, or you'll see like arts and sciences will house, sometimes a health science, or there may be a college of health, right? That would house like everything else. And so what you would want to do is when you're looking at your top college choices, you would just need to find out where that program is housed. So health sciences is kind of like a big umbrella that may have a lot of different programs under it. So you may need to search more specifically on the program, and health sciences may be kind of like a indicator or identifier at at the colleges that you're looking at. So I would want to make sure that you kind of delve down more into like maybe the program of study, but it all depends on the college. So a lot of the technical colleges here in the state of Georgia, they may say health sciences, right? And then you would see nursing and radiology or being a dental assistant or whatever, but the identifier is health sciences. So you just got to figure out at the college that you're interested in how they are identifying what health sciences is. Okay.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. We have a couple more, but we'll keep proceeding and
Keep going. We'll have a Q&A
Sure.
session at the end.
Yes, perfect.
All right. So this is what I like to have a conversation with individuals when we talk about careers, right? What arenas are your career choices housed, right? So you can have a career, a job title, and it could be in multiple areas, right? So I don't want specifically high school students to think that I want to be this, I have to do this, right? That application may be somewhere else. So let's kind of explore some of that. Harry, I'll grab you first. All right. So inside of we can go to the next slide. Inside of teaching, facilitating, where do you think like this particular skill set can be housed outside of a teacher in a classroom at a school? Where do you think teaching and facilitating can be housed?
I mean, I feel like anywhere technically, since if it's teaching, you're learning, either you're learning something from somebody or they're teaching you something. So technically, that could be anywhere. I feel that's my point of view.
Absolutely. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a 10th grade teacher at X school. Teaching and facilitating is in training. Teaching and facilitating is in coaching. Teaching and facilitating is in a lot of things. Human resources, right? You really have that skill set, but it could be applicable in different areas, right? Gavin, I'll get you next. Gavin.
Mhm.
The next option, the next example is IT, right?
Right.
All right. Where do you think IT could be like housed or applicable?
There's IT in everything. Any type of company has their
Yep.
own IT department, right? But I would say most of the times that I was surprised to see it was actually in the production side, going back to film tech, because we have a lot of people that do different things on the IT side, whether it's uploading something online, whether it's creating online portfolios, or even just programming different computers to do certain things for the production. So
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of different things that IT could be a part of.
That's absolutely true. Any business, any state agency, the federal government, any local government, everybody needs IT,
Right.
right? So
Right.
that's a really, really good one. We'll get the next one. Jamar, you're gonna be the next one. All
Hey.
right. Project management. Where do you think being able to manage a project, where do you think that skill could be housed?
I think I'm gonna say the same thing. That can be housed a lot of places, and I'm gonna take it back to the entertainment industry because even when we're sitting around the table and we're putting together creative projects and things like that, I think a project manager normally oversees the logistical side of it. I would say so. I think that could be housed anywhere from the entertainment industry, schools, construction. So that varies as well for sure.
Absolutely.
Right.
So the skill set is what's important, right? I have the ability to drive production. I have the ability to, oversee
Yes.
different individuals. That project management skill set is where it matters, right?
And those are
We're
some of
going
the
to
best people you can have on your team, a project
is
manager.
somebody who is a project manager.
That's
They're a
somebody who does it
driver of
all.
production.
For sure.
Yes.
That's absolutely true. We'll go to the next one. A lawyer.
Ooh.
All right, who wants to grab that one? Where can a lawyer or having legal skills, where do you think that could be housed?
Well, I'll take this one.
Outside of the courtroom.
I'll take this one.
All right, go ahead,
Debate,
Harry.
debate club, technically debate club. I feel like.
Okay. All right.
That's all I got.
All
Debate
right.
club.
That's pretty good. All right. So you don't necessarily have to be a litigator in a courtroom, right? You
Right.
could be a legal counsel for a state agency or a federal government. You could be somebody who is a real estate attorney, right? Who is helping individuals understand the law behind buying a house, right? You could be a lot of politicians have a background in law, right? And so, you don't necessarily have to be, a practicing litigator inside of a courthouse, right? So hopefully, if you're watching, you can think of a couple of the things that you're interested in, and that application of what you're interested in could be in different places. All right. So last thing, let's talk about some of the career income projections. I got a quiz for you. Fellas. We'll go to the next one. All right. Gavin, I'm gonna ask you first.
Okay.
Who do you think makes the most money and why? A professional basketball player, a professional baseball player, or a professional football player?
If I'm not mistaken, it would be professional baseball.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Baseball does have the longest money, right?
Right.
Out of the sports. I don't know why, but it's the least contact, but they make the most money, right?
Right.
So baseball money is longer in the professional sports. All right. Harry, you the next one up. Ooh, this is a good one. Who do you think makes the most money? An ER surgeon, a general pediatrician, or an oncologist, a cancer doctor? Like, who do you think probably makes the most money?
I'm gonna go with pediatrician.
All
Uh,
right.
it's most unusual to me, so I'm gonna go with that one.
All right. If you were a pediatric surgeon, I would say yes, right? So the ones in the field for these three options is the surgeon, right? It's the emergency option, right? So they make the most money, right? All right. Last one for you, Jamar. Who do you think makes the most money? The president of the United States, a D1 college football coach, or a Supreme Court justice?
Everything in me want to say the president, but I'm pushing towards the Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
All right. I will tell you this, out of these three in a general setting, the Supreme Court justice is actually making the least, right?
Oh, wow.
Depending on the football team and the school, it could be a D1 football coach, right? If you're thinking about some of the big name schools, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Texas, the USCs, those are big name schools. They have big name coaching fees.
Well,
right?
I might need to coach somebody football team then.
All right, we'll continue on. We are finishing up our session so that we can get into our Q&A salary. So the whole point of this exercise was to see what do you know about your position's salary, right? Mm-hmm. And if you were to change the specific role but be in the same career, is that something that you might be interested in? As a doctor, would you want to be an ER surgeon or a pediatrician or an oncologist, right? It's still in healthcare, but which way would you like to go, right? Where would you like to practice, right? And so we want to make sure that you can identify exactly what it is that you're interested in, but also understand that there are other options. Okay.
Right.
All right. We'll go on to the next slide. All right. So here's the last slide for you students who are watching. Important questions for students to ask about their careers. One, how does education attainment affect my position, selection, and income? Meaning, do I have to go to college? If I do have to go to college, do I have to get a graduate degree? If I do have to get a graduate degree, how far do I have to go? Does that affect the amount of money that I have, right? Or that I'm going to receive, right? Number two, is the degree completion or certification skill set the most important in that career? So in IT, that's an example. In IT, you got to have the technical skill, right? If you want to be something in automotive technology, be a mechanic, that's a technical skill, right? So if you want to be a pilot, that's a technical skill. Doesn't necessarily matter if you have a degree behind it or not. is more of the certification and the skill set, right? If you want to be a lineman, so we have a lot of storms going around the country right now. If there's some lines that go down, you don't necessarily have to have a degree for that, but you have to have the technical skill, right, to be able to correct that, and have people have their power back on, right? And linemen make a lot of money, right? So you don't necessarily have to be a 4-year university student, right? And then the last one is, what can you do and where can you go to gather it? So that's the access points I talked about from our last session. Who can assist you? Who has information? What organization, what person can assist you with that, right? Where can you find more information? So those are the 3 steps that you want to make sure that you are considering in this college and career preparation for your major and program of study, connecting those dots to your career. So to get more information about me, you can go to my information, my social media. You can find me on my website at Next Step Education and College Readiness 101. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the time for the Q&A session. So was there any other questions that we heard in the chat, saw in the chat?
Yes.
All right, let's hear them.
So TJ asked, in what field would psychology fall into?
So psychology is a humanities, right? And so you can use psychology anywhere. So it's a general degree that you can get. To practice psychology, though, you would probably need to get a higher degree, a graduate degree. But a lot of people will use psychology degrees in other applications, generally like we were talking about today. So you can use psychology in criminology and profiling criminals. You can use psychology in education, child psychology. You can use psychology in business, like the business of psychology, psychology business of like how to understand the human behavior and why they buy this and how they buy that, and the science behind, Black Friday and Christmas shopping, and what's the science of before Valentine's Day? How long does, the lead time need to be for Valentine's stuff to go out or for 4th of July stuff to go out, right? And so there's like a science behind all of this. So we would just have to you would have to decide like where you would want to apply your psychology education, if that answers your question.
Thank you. Sydney asks, if I wanted to be a corporate lawyer, would political science or pre-law be a better major for me?
Well, political science would go for, like, if you wanted to be a lawyer as it relates to the political spectrum of this country, right? So if you were interested in politics, if you're interested in elections or local or state government, and understanding how they are selecting their leaders and the laws behind how we are selecting our leaders, then that I would say the political science. But if you want to be a corporate lawyer, I would say just a general pre-law. You can study kind of anything, but pre-law would be that. I would actually think like a business pre-law or some type of option like that would be really good to be a corporate lawyer. But again, you can study kind of anything because you still have to go to law school, right? So I think that any undergrad education should work with that. But again, you will want to make sure you find out from a law school, like, what is the good route for that? If you know any lawyers, if you know any corporate lawyers, that would be kind of or you can get in contact with any corporate lawyers, that would be a really good way. But I'm pretty sure there are multiple options to get into that career.
Awesome. And then just a quick tidbit from one of our participants, Anaya, she says, Delta has a Young Propel program. They are recruiting and training. Her mother is a flight attendant, and she heard one of the other questions being asked. So thank you, Anaya.
Yep, that is true. That is true.
Courtney asked, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Brandon.
No, I was just going to talk just briefly about a job that I didn't know existed from a friend that I have. She's a dispatcher, right? And so I thought it was just FAA agent and, pilot and the flight attendant. But there's actually a job called a dispatcher where it's all of the science behind the flight, right? So how much weight in people and in luggage needs to go on it? What is the amount of space you need on the runway to have that amount of weight, get in the air? How much gas weighs and how much money, how much gas do you have to get from this flight from there or there? Are there any storms on the way, right? Or do we have any political issues with other countries? We don't need to fly in their airspace. Like it's a whole bunch of things that happen that for you to just take off and land at your destination, right? So I didn't even know that job existed. And it was a phenomenal thing to go through that tour and learn about that. I thought that was a phenomenal, and you don't have to have a degree, right? That is a certification job, and they make a lot of money, right? And so I thought that was pretty cool. So I just, since she said Delta, I wanted to go ahead and bring that up.
Nice. Okay. Courtney asks, in what field would biomed be?
Medical. So it's STEM. So it would be you would study like biology, probably biology pre-med. So bio, so that's where that would go. In agriculture and sciences. So or medical. So biomed would be either in your biology departments, arts and sciences, or it could be held in like your health sciences, depending on how the college sets it up.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Brandon, did we want to start our poll now as we read
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you were here and you are watching, we want to know what you thought about this session. We want to give you time to go ahead and complete this survey for what you experienced, right? Because this is going to help us out and we want to be able to connect you. And again, I'm going to remind you, like I did in session 1, if you are a senior, you absolutely want to make sure that you complete this survey because there may be some opportunities for you once this series is over. So you want to make sure you attend all of the presentations, all of the sessions, and make sure you complete all of the surveys, right? So question number 1 of the session 2 impact survey. How much did this workshop increase your understanding of programs of study and career options? What do you think? How did this impact? All right. Number 2, after this session, how confident are you in your ability to choose a program of study or career path? Do you feel that this session helped you understand how you can choose that program of study or career path? All right. Number 3, did this session help you clarify any academic or career goals? I'm hoping for those who ask questions, I'm hoping that it did. I'm hoping that I did actually give you a little clarity and at least somewhere to go to get the information, right? All right. And we do have other questions. What is the most valuable insight or takeaway? And then what is the first action you plan to do when you get off of this session and you start this journey? All right. And based on your experience, would you come to another session? We want to know. We want to know. So as of right now, for that last question, everybody's saying yes. I'm hoping that you're finding value in these sessions. So I'll ask, is there any other questions? Since we'll give them time to do this, but were there any other questions?
Yes, just a few more. Layla asks, what is your estimation for a wildlife biologist salary?
Now that would depend on where you are, right? So I would think, so we'd have to find out where you are going to be, right? So if you were going to be a wildlife in, let's say, like Wyoming, or where there's a lot of parks, that could be different than if you were somewhere else that doesn't have a lot of, federal parks or state parks. So I would say the best advice that I would give is find out where you are, what kind of the salary range is for that job in your state or in your region. Because I don't want to give you a wrong range based on kind of like location, right? So that's something that I would suggest.
Awesome. Nicholas asks, if I wanted to be an actuary, what would I pick?
Oh, you know what? Actuary sciences is actually a program in it, like a program or a major in itself. You would actually need to kind of research, what schools offer that as a major. Everybody's not going to offer that program. So you actually need to find out like what colleges offer it. I think that is a phenomenal option if you want to be an actuary. That is a phenomenal career option.
Awesome. Danielle asked, would it be helpful for me to get a bachelor's in romance studies to pursue a flight attendant career?
I don't see the connection between romance studies and flight attendant. As a matter of fact, um, that's an art for a career that probably doesn't require that. Now they may require some type of degree, but being a flight attendant is again one of those careers where you're going to learn everything like in your trainings, right? So it doesn't necessarily, let me give you an example. So for somebody who wanted to be, let's say, an investigator, right? For the state's Bureau of Investigation, right? Most of those careers are going to require some type of degree, some type of completion, right? But in like so to be a flight attendant or in like aviation, my advice, those two wouldn't connect or correlate to each other. Romance for arts and then getting into like flight attendant, those two don't actually connect each other.
Okay. All right. London asks, are there any career websites I can take to help inspire me select a career, to inspire me to select my major or minor? So any websites that you can suggest for her?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So take notes on this one. So first thing you will want to do is kind of go to your state or go to the federal labor department website, so you can kind of find out what jobs are what's going on, what jobs are growing, what jobs are declining. Like you want to definitely look at that. But you also want to take a career assessment. That's what I'm going to suggest. So something like a lot of school systems are using like Naviance as their platform for college and career readiness. A U Science would be good. So what it does is it allows you, it's like a career and personality assessment. And it will allow you to find out based on who you are, based on your interest, and based on your aptitude, right? What jobs or careers might be a good fit for you, right? So I'm going to highly suggest that you take a career assessment. Hopefully, it has a personality component to it. And that way you can find out kind of just based on who you are, what may be really good for you. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And our last question from Floyd, could culinary arts and food science be able to do the same things when they get a degree?
Maybe. So the culinary arts is going to kind of help you become a chef or be like do the job, right? Um of cooking, right? But food sciences is a little more broad and it doesn't necessarily have to include the cooking component of it. Like being a nutritionist doesn't necessarily like cook, right? And so I would just ask you kind of what your career goals are. And then we can make a decision on which way you would want to go, right? So just like Jamar said, that if he was not, interested in film and theatrics, he might be, a culinary arts student. But that's literally the job of cooking. And so if you're not necessarily wanting to be a chef or a baker or things like that, it might be other non-cooking food jobs that food sciences could fit in, if that makes sense. Okay.
All right. Well, that
All
wraps
right.
questions for now.
That's all the questions. All right. All right. Well, I want to go ahead and before we thank everybody, thank you, fellas, for being a part of this. Thank you for, being the voice of the students who are watching. It's very exciting to be able to connect with you and interact with you and get your feedback and your insights on what it's like to be a high school student who's getting ready to transition to college during these conversations. I want to thank everybody who has taking their time out to be with us for this hour. And I want to make sure that you are registering for our next session. Our last two sessions are going to be next week. On the 27th, we're going to be talking about financial aid, scholarships, and college student financing. And on the 29th, we'll be talking about the first year experience. So we'll have some college students coming on and talking about how they made that transition from high school to college. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Next Step Education and at College Readiness 101. And you can follow the Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation on Instagram at harvey.foundation. So I want to thank you so much. I appreciate your participation, and we will see you next time.